Today we are honored to have about 25 CRTC graduates come. We're going to be here for about an hour or so, maybe a little less than an hour. And it's a chance for us to talk to them and see what life is like on the other side. When I say the word the other side, I think that American education right now, a lot of times the advice you receive and the guidance you receive is not authentic. I think the people giving you advice struggle to articulate and talk about how to prepare yourself for the next round. I believe that the real source of information is, and I say this in a very loving way, these are all regular kids. They're exceptional in their own way, but they're folks who just took a road. Not one student up here had the easy road. Okay, they all had to make a lot of decisions and decide what they had to do in their life. You're going to hear great diversity in their choices. You're going to hear things that they made good choices, bad choices, mediocre choices, and all the above. So you're going to enjoy this. My job as a facilitator is to get the most out of them, so I'm going to wing it a little bit, but I do have some fixed questions. These folks have done one round already, except for one. He's going to be warmed up, so they have a little bit of a groove, but I also want to get more out of them. Before we get started, just one last commercial interruption. As you know, it's a line I use all the time. We're starting our recruitment season starting this month. On Monday, we make our first visit, and we're going to Pembroke Academy. And the month of January and February is crazy for us. As I say to all of our students, all 650 of them, not one of you need to be here. You all chose us. We're happy that you chose us. We're honored that you chose us. But now we're going to begin the process of recruiting another 350 or 400 students to join us like we do every year. So the next stretch of time, we're going to need your help. It's totally voluntary. You know, we're going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, can you talk to some students? Can you be part of something in helping us tell our story? We believe that our story is good. I think by evidence here, I think you're going to see on the stage that the CRTC is a really unique thing. And my experience is a lot of you take great pride that you're here. And we want to keep that energy going, but the next 2 months we need your help. So just keep that in mind as we go. So let's get started. So we're honored to have all of you here. And my opening question is always just a really basic question. And where are 2 microphones? Perfect. So I'm going to start there, then we'll go back and forth. We'll actually start there and go that way. So my first question is just your name, program you're in, and what you're doing right now, just to get a quick intro. So start there, we'll go that way, then we'll come around to this side, to Dan.
All right, so I'm Natalie. I graduated last year from the cosmetology program, and I am enrolled at Michael School of Hair Design and Aesthetics in Bedford, New Hampshire.
I'm Allison Arkand. I graduated from cosmetology in 2017, and I'm currently working at Stilisti Salon in Boston.
My name is Trisha Laughlin. I graduated from the health science program this past year, and I'm studying nursing at Simmons University and working as an EMT at Lifeline.
My name is Brett Provost. I graduated last year from the health science program, and I'm currently at NYU studying nursing.
My name is Anna LeBron. I graduated from the health science program last year, and I'm at the University of Tampa studying health and human performance.
I'm Dilly Berry. I graduated from the health science program in 2017, and I'm at the University of New England studying nursing and business.
I'm Josh Ostertag. I graduated in 2012 from the automotive program. I am currently at New England Kenworth here in Concord as a technician.
Hi, I'm Mariana Mielkars. I graduated from Theater Tech and Design last year, and I'm currently at the University of New Hampshire for elementary education.
Hi, I'm Tim. I graduated from auto last year, and I'm going to school at Vermont Technical College for diesel power technology.
Hi, I'm Michael. I graduated from construction tech in 2017, and
What are you doing?
oh yeah, I'm at NHCI for business.
I'm Ian. I graduated from the construction program last year, and I work doing concrete.
All right, Dan.
I'm Dan Stone. I graduated from the CRTC Fire Science program in 2017, and I'm currently at Lake Shore Community College studying a double major program in fire science and paramedicine.
I'm Sydney Ingraham. I go to the University of Tampa studying elementary education, and I graduated in 2017.
I'm Jenna Comenesto. I graduated from teacher prep in 2017. I'm at the University of New Hampshire studying elementary education.
I'm Emily Haywood-Minery. I graduated teacher prep 2018, and I'm at Ithaca College studying sociology and counseling.
Yeah, I'm Tyler Vestusha. I graduated last year in teacher preparation, and I go to Keene State, and I'm doing elementary education there.
I'm Destiny Wilson. I graduated from teacher prep in 2018, and I'm at NHGI studying teacher education.
Hi there, I'm Brendan McCaig. I graduated from the computer engineering program in 2017. I currently study computer engineering with a double minor in robotics and computer science at the University of Massachusetts Lowell.
Hi, I'm Mark Raznev. I graduated from the IT program back in 2015, and currently I'm studying robotics and automation at NHGI.
I'm Zach Stiff. I graduated last year from the graphics program, and I'm currently at the University of the Arts in Philadelphia studying illustration.
Hello, I'm Skylar Aslin. I also graduated from the graphics program last year, and I'm currently at the Maine College of Art in Portland, Maine, studying graphic design.
Hi, I'm Lily Laura. I graduated in 2017 from the cosmetology program, and I am currently an apprentice at H2O Salon Spa in Bedford, New Hampshire.
Great. All right, so my first question is a nice softball question, and it is the following. Tell us something you're proud of since high school. So something that you feel good about, something that you explored, something you did that sort of has proven to be worthwhile for you. So something you feel good about. Let's start over here and pass it down. Here we go.
I'm proud of something that I did this past semester. I went to Morocco. Going into the study abroad program, I didn't know anyone, so I felt a little nervous going into it, but I'm very happy and very proud of myself for putting myself out there and actually going.
How was the trip?
Amazing.
Amazing. Nice. Someone else, something proud of you.
So I am in a cosmetology school, so I don't really get to do much with like clipper and razor work, but yesterday I gave my friend an undercut. So I like shaved a design into the back of her head, and I also did razor work on my mannequin head, so I'm really proud of myself for going out of my comfort zone, doing something I don't really know.
Good new skill sets. Someone else, something you're proud of, something.
I'm pretty proud of coming out of high school and kind of not really having a general idea of what I was doing and kind of getting it together and landing myself a really awesome apprenticeship program at the salon that I'm at that allowed me to basically work for my license. Instead of paying to go to school, I'm getting paid for my license. So I've been able to go to work in school at the same time, get my own place, kind of get on my own 2 feet and do it all by myself.
So Lily, I did this last round too, and I think you're introducing a concept that most people don't really understand. So the word apprenticeship. So the person to your left and the person to your right are doing traditional schooling, pursuing a license certificate or pursuing a bachelor's degree. You're doing an apprenticeship. Can you give us a quick overview of your understanding of how you have a destination to be a cosmetologist, but how is your pathway different than theirs?
Yeah. So I basically did not attend any post-secondary school like my peers that are around me. So basically what an apprenticeship is, for the state of New Hampshire, you need 1,500 hours with a traditional school to get your license for cosmetology. An apprenticeship is a little bit more drawn out. It's 3,000 hours, so it's doubled. So I'm spending about 2 years, 18 months to 2 years at my salon. Basically just like observing all of our stylists that we have there that's a good portion of what I'm doing. I am being mentored by our master stylist who's been there for over 10 years. She's a complete master at her craft. And I basically have, my observation time is generally what I do, and then I have school time, which is like one-on-one intensive classes a couple times a week with my mentor. So that's like, everything in the salon kind of shuts down. It's just her and I. That's my my class time, as everyone else has class time.
Yeah, so an apprenticeship, which is really becoming much bigger in New Hampshire right now, I can share more of that another time, is in many of the careers you're looking at this point, where you're not doing traditional learning, where you're doing traditional learning in a certain setting and then doing a lot of field work. Who else? Something you're proud of? Yeah, much do that. That can be this mic, you guys. Go ahead. Yeah, go. Good.
Okay, so a couple weeks ago, I had a patient who completely coded, and I had spontaneous cardiac resuscitation, and it was beautiful. So they were dead, and then they weren't, and I think I cried, and I was really proud that I had made a change in that person's life, and they continued having a life after I dropped them off at the ER.
So let's backtrack a quick second. That's a big statement right there. It's not a I put a. fast track. The cool thing about this assembly.
Sorry.
No, it's really, I think
Big deal.
I think the audience agrees it's a big deal. The beauty of this assembly is you got to a point, right? And this point in your case was your EMT on a truck in Boston. And you have this incredible experience. I mean, someone dying in front of you. Briefly tell us, you're a full-time, I'm going to cover, you're a full-time college student, and you're an EMT on the side. And how's that EMT work? What's that like? How many hours a week are you doing it?
So that doesn't usually happen. Most of my patients are usually drunk, and the police just doesn't want to take them to the ER, so we have to. But in this particular case, it was somebody at a nursing home, and they were pretty young. They were in like their 50s. But they called, and we were the closest unit in the area. We drove over licensed sirens. We got there. They were coding. We shocked them once. We put them on the stretcher. We got them in the ambulance. Went licensed sirens to Mass General, and on the way, after 20 minutes of CPR and a couple shocks with the AED, all of a sudden they took a breath, and then they had a pulse, and then they were breathing on their own, and the pulse wasn't me pumping on their chest, and we got to MGH, and I was like, this patient is alive.
So
I didn't think I was going to be delivering an alive patient.
So put things in perspective as we move on here, is you're a full-time college student right now, proud of being an EMT on the side, bringing some extra money in to offset your world, and you're having this career experience. You're not working at Burger King or McDonald's and being loose about it, but you're doing something in your career on the side, getting pumped up. Who else? Good story to tell. Something you feel proud of right down there.
My whole life, I grew up around Caterpillar equipment, running and operating them and doing some mechanic work. And I just recently applied to Milton Cat in Londonderry, and I was accepted for an internship and a future job opportunity once I graduate college. So that was a really big feat for me, and I'm really proud of myself.
What was that application process like?
It was actually more rigorous than I thought. They had me do a phone call interview, they had me apply twice online, and I had to do an on-site interview as well with 3 different managers. So it was really stressful for me, but I persevered and was able to overcome that. And using a lot of references from CRTC, that put me ahead of other applicants, and they hired me because of that.
That's awesome. Dan, you want to go here?
Recently, I got my Firefighter 1 certificate from the New Hampshire State Fire Academy. For anybody who's within the fire service or knows anybody within that field, it's not an easy class. It's about, I think, 200 hours of...
230 or so.
Yeah, 230 hours of just you being on the drill yard, hammering down, working your rear end off until you're about ready to draw. It wasn't easy, and I'm extremely proud of myself for being able to get something like that.
Nice. Again, you're in an associate's program, but this is a tier with the associate's program that you can actually, sooner than not, start working, but you still have to get your degree as you go. Yeah, who else? Mike? We'll come down this side after that.
Yeah, so I'm going to NHCI for business, and I'm pretty proud of myself, so I've been pushing myself. School definitely isn't easy for me, and so hopefully within another 2 semesters, I'll be graduating with a business degree, and so I'm pretty proud of that.
So we always say, did you say school's never been easy for you?
Yeah, so I have a hard time with math especially, and so I just had a pretty hard math class I just got through, and accounting wasn't easy at first, but now I love accounting.
So tell us, what's your big picture? Why are you pursuing a business degree?
So I'm lucky enough to be able to take over a family business, and so thanks to my parents, they sort of pushed me into school, and I'm happy for it because I'm getting the background knowledge on how to run a business the correct way, and so hopefully I'll be more efficient.
Good. So you got real target. And I said earlier, I know your dad's a very hard worker, so you're going to take over a business that demands a lot from you. Who else? Something you're proud of right now, Lizzie?
I have 2 things. So I was in the teacher preparation program, and about 6 months after I graduated, I got a job working for Concord School District as a substitute teacher at the elementary schools. So that's been really awesome, preparing me for my future career. And then my other thing is I just got back from Italy studying abroad. And that was an amazing experience, so I recommend it to anyone to go abroad if you can, because I was able to learn the Italian language, travel to 8 different countries, and I was taking 5 classes there that didn't count towards my education major, but towards my general education. And I was one of the youngest people there because it's very rare to go as a sophomore. So yeah, that was amazing.
So substitute teaching and travel to Italy.
Yeah.
Two very exciting places to go right there.
And I go to the University of Tampa, so I'm all over the place. And when I'm home for break, I substitute here.
Nice.
So.
Who else? Something you're proud of? Arthur?
Since high school, I've been doing a lot of things in engineering. I've probably studied almost every single engineering I could possibly at UNH, and that's another story. But I got interested in a lot of things, and I started working on a project called Picture Post at UNH with one of the professors there, which is about studying deforestation in remote areas and using photos. So like you would go on a hike and there's a post and you put a camera in it, and you take a bunch of different images and you send it back to a database, and they can see over time how like the trees are changing, how the landscape's changing, things like that, like basically through visual data. Through that whole thing, I started working on precision agriculture, and which is like, it's an easy way to, computer science and biology goes together and you increase your crop count. Easy way to put it. And so from that, I've been starting to take my whole Picture Post concepts that I've been working on at UNH, and I started applying it to a low-cost deployable precision agriculture device, because normally you have to use like a drone to go overhead, like a military-grade drone that has this really expensive LiDAR system attached to it that flies over these giant fields like in New York, and it costs hundreds of thousands of dollars to do, and I've made a $40 version that does the same thing for smaller smaller fields like that you'll find in New England.
So proud of the fact that you're doing some pretty innovative things right now, fusing together all your interests, whether it be computers, robotics, aeronautics in this case, working together. Who else? Say proud. Josh?
I didn't go the traditional route. I didn't go to a post-secondary college or school. I joined the military as a mechanic out of the automotive program. I think one thing I'm proud of is I stuck with it. You know, I had doubts and I stuck with it. You know, I got into a really good company that has paid for all of my schooling, 100%. Nothing out of my pocket I've paid.
Do you have any debt?
I have a lot of pool debt.
Yeah.
Other than that, I have no student loans. I still have my GI Bill from the military. I have not used it.
And how many years did you serve? I'm sorry.
I did 6 years, 1 tour.
Yep. Where were you?
I went to Jordan, which is right next to Syria.
What were you doing there?
Wrenching.
Yeah, wrenching. Good word. That's the word I was going to use, but it works just perfect.
Anything.
Did you have a specialty in terms of general repair, or were you targeted on a particular engine or a particular unit or something of that sort?
You know, it was anything from oil changes, transmission swaps, motor rebuilds, electrical problems, a lot of air conditioning problems, because you know you want that at 130 degrees.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of add-ons, because you know some of the trucks we get, they come from just like a stock house,
Commercial, regular stock trucks.
Stock, and
you
they don't have any armor on them. They come naked, as we'd like to call them. They didn't have the armor plating. They didn't have, all the bumpers and the bulletproof glass. So we'd add all that stuff on when we got them shipped to us.
Nice. So bottom line, you finished up at Hillsborough and straight out to the military, 6 years, and now you're sort of regrouping a bit, taking some classes and working in your career of your choice.
Yes, I just went out to Albany, New York for Cummins. I went to Cummins Northeast and took some classes there. I've also took a lot of online classes through Kenworth in their program. I'm also starting my school to overhaul Allison transmissions.
So it's interesting, Lily, in telling your story too, that when Josh is out in the field, and this goes for a lot of folks in certainly the automotive diesel field, there's opportunity to do a lot of training while you're working. I mean, that's the sort of, and sometimes I think you probably left work and went out to study at Cummins Diesel, but a lot of people are doing some background work and then they're in the field. So just a really interesting way of thinking about your education.
There's a lot of prerequisites, online classes that you have to do.
Before you actually go for full
Before
training.
you actually go out to the program in New York, and
All right, let me jump back. I'll come back to you. Ian, I'm going to pick on you. Pass that down to Ian. I always have to call on Ian. Look at Ian. He comes to talk today, and he grunts that he has to speak. So Ian, tough luck. I want to talk to you a little bit, all right? But I'm going to go. You're the only one I'm going to do this to, all right? Because this crowd right here, majority seniors, some juniors. You were in my office right around this time of year last year, right? Can you tell me what you did in your last semester? So everybody up here, I'm talking about after high school, but Ian, you're the only one I'm going to say, let's begin your window of your last semester of high school. What did you do in your last semester of high school? And tell us your motivation behind it.
So basically, after my first semester of my senior year, I had all my credits done for CHS, and I didn't really want to go to school anymore. I didn't see a point to be here, so I asked him if I could just go to work and get a credit for construction, and unfortunately, they said no. So we came.
I said nicely though. It wasn't mean about it. I did say no though.
So we came up with this plan, and I went to NHTI for a semester, and I took an English class and a psychology class, and then I did an internship with my boss and learned how his business works and how he does all of his accounting, insurance, basic business, and then I also worked for him on top of that. And
tell us about that internship. Tell us about your exposure to. It's a concrete business. Tell us about that a little bit. What was the difference between the internship and the work, for example?
So the internship, I was with his accountant, and she was just showing me like how he writes a quote, and so I understand everything in the quote, because when I go out in the field and work, it's what we're building is what the client is paying for. So how he writes a quote and how he sends it out, how he all of his invoices, how that's all billed. He uses QuickBooks, so that's his main business tool.
So I got a lot out of that. Who else? Someone else? Something proud of? Yep, she went down it.
This is something that's pretty simple, but everybody's going to have to figure out at some point, and that's time management. Being in an art school, all my courses, or almost all my courses, are studio courses, so that they're not lectures. I can't just now show up and only show up for the test and still pass. I have to be there every single course, and that's 6 hours a week for each of my classes. I have 5 classes, and then on top of that, 6 hours of homework for each class, and then I have a job. And I still have the best GPA that I've ever had, in my entire life.
All right, so let's take a look at a typical week for your school, right? We got October week, November week. How many hours in the classroom?
6 hours for each class, so that's
5 classes?
35,
30-ish hours, something like that.
And then
how many hours of homework?
Homework is 30 hours of homework.
So 30 hours in the class, 30 hours of homework. How about, do you have a job?
Yep, I have 16 hours a week at my job.
So 30, 30, 16, sleep a little bit, right? How about social life?
It's very school-based. We all do homework together.
Good. Something else people are proud of. We pass that mic down this way, would be great.
Going off of the time management thing, I'm a D1 athlete. I run at UNH, so definitely managing that, as well as I have a job that I work 4 to 5 hours a week as well, and then with homework, so definitely a full-time commitment, but it can be done. You're just once you get into it, you kind of have to learn how to time manage, basically.
So let me ask you a follow-up question. So learning how to time manage, you were in high school, people were giving you advice to time manage. How does time management look like in college compared to high school?
It's just so different because no one's telling you, oh, this is your time for homework, this is your time for anything else, and you have your own life, you have to plan into it. So mostly I use the weekends for fun kind of, and the weekdays are pretty much just homework and practice. So definitely figuring out that social aspect as well was definitely another aspect that I had to add to that.
Anybody else, accomplishments? Yeah, let's pass that mic down that way. We'll get one more, and then we'll move on to the next question. There it goes. There you are.
I'm really proud that it's like less than a year since I've graduated school and I've paid off all my student loans.
Nice. How much?
It was about $6,000 from UD school.
And I think it's worthwhile noting too that I know a little about what you've done. You were up here, and you went down to Florida for. And when you went down to Florida, did you know anybody down there, or was it sort of you have a family down there?
I had my grandparents, but I didn't live with them. I lived on my own.
So you went down to Florida, lived on your own, spent about a year down there, and now where are you working and where are you?
I'm working on Newbury Street in Boston.
So that's right downtown Boston, a lot of action down there. And how's life in Boston?
I really love it. You can't imagine living anywhere else, especially Florida. And
Well, I'm gonna give you one more minute here. So all of a sudden you moved to Boston on your own, right? Your own apartment, your own this. And how old are you now?
19.
19 years old. Okay. So that's a big deal. I think the audience sort of gets that too. I think people go, whoa, like, what's it like to move on your own to Boston?
I mean, I do have a roommate, and you definitely deal with some crazy ones. I had some pretty crazy ones in Florida as well, but it's a really, like, I'm really happy that I get to say, like, my sister lives with my aunt, and she's still working, paying off all of her stuff, and I didn't go to a four-year school, and everyone told me not to.
I'm sorry, everybody told you to not go to a four-year school or go to a four-year school?
Go to a four-year school. They said not to go to beauty school, and my parents still try every time I come home. And so it's like really happy, like I get really happy when I know that I make the same amount as my sister who did go to a four-year school. And I get to
How much debt does she have?
She has about $60,000 in debt.
So we're not here to comment on $60,000 is a lot of money. Nobody's going to dispute that. And we're in that class, and part of this today, thank you, Lily. Part of this today is that balance. Like, there's no right or wrong. It's just finding the right balance. Obviously, having $6,000 in debt lets you live in Boston. If you had $60,000 in debt, that opportunity may not be open to you. You'd have a lot of debt paying and all the pieces. Okay, so here's my next question. The next question is, age difference is not that extensive between the audience and some people on the stage right now. So you had received guidance and advice as a 16, 17, 18-year-old, leading up to graduation from high school. And now you're out in the world, all right? So people told you things, they guided you on things, they directed you on certain things. Now you're out. What advice was worthwhile? What was not worthwhile? And what advice would you give to, again, both seniors in here, there are some juniors in here, what would you want to say? So globally, what you received, what the reality was like, and what you want to spit back out now that you've been out for a year or two or longer, 6 years in some cases, what's what? So it looks like we have, let's start here and then we'll work our microphone down that way, the other microphone down that way.
So one of the pieces of advice that I got a lot was, we kind of talked about it earlier, but like exploring your options. I was super dead set on a particular school for a while, and then I got more money from a different school, so then I was really into that one. And the last school I applied to, the last school I toured, I actually didn't go look at it until April, is where I am right now, and I couldn't be happier. So I would just say that that's true. Like, you shouldn't be like super dead set on one thing because your mind's gonna change. And also to go with your gut. I think a lot of people, I know for sure, I knew when I was touring the school that I go to now, I kind of just like knew that I was supposed to go there, and it's super cliche, but it's true. You can tell.
But your point is though that you kept your mind open to keep looking. You didn't stop. You didn't lock into something early and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
I think that may be contrasting advice to what people get. So that's a key thing. Let me start in the middle, and then one might go that way, one might go that way. Go ahead.
So in my industry, there's always going to be people that are trying to tear you down. There's always going to be people that don't like what you do. You're not going to be able to get along with everybody, and Miss Kim always told me to just fake it until you make it. And it is something that has stuck with me every day. It was my senior quote. It was like, I just live by it. And even when like people come in and they try to like knock you down, make you feel like you're less than deserving to be in the spot that you are, you never let them know that they're getting to you, so you just fake being.
So you got some good advice. Yes. You reiterate the fact that you got to tough your way through it.
Yes.
Good. Let me start over here and over here. We'll pass it down. Yep. So yeah, left side.
All right. So my parents always gave me a lot of talks about how to balance schoolwork and socializing. because I know I like to have fun, socialize with my friends. And so the first half of my first semester, I really pretty much just all hung out with friends, went to gatherings with my friends and everything. It was really fun. And it is fun.
Gatherings?
You gotta have appropriate talk here, you know?
Gatherings, okay. I think gatherings sort of bridges you guys, this guys, and I'm right in the middle of that gathering.
Well, and then once I started to figure out how to balance out work and my workload and socializing, it made school a lot easier.
You guys just think I didn't go to gatherings? You think I went to gatherings in college? Mr. Hubbard, where's Mr. Hubbard right now? Did you go to gatherings in college, Mr. Hubbard? Chef Mac, did you go to gatherings in college? No, you didn't. You just studied all the time? I'm sorry, go ahead, I couldn't resist that.
That's pretty much it. I mean, I'm in the library a lot, so there's that.
What grades, Tyler? Grades?
Hold on, let's loop back.
What grades did you get?
Oh, I got 3 A's and a B, so no matter how much I had fun, I still give my grades.
All right, so you had a balance. Good job. All right, let's go over here. EMT.
Okay, so something my mom always stressed with me is I don't really care about your grade, I care about the effort you put into it. And I was like, no, I'm gonna get A's. And I did, I got all A's in high school. And then I went to college and I was like, I'm gonna get all A's again, and then it got hard. So don't stress yourself out so much over like an A versus a B. Like I finished French 101 with a B, and I was so happy. And my former self would have just like been crying for days. So don't stress yourself out too much on what the number is. You know, just put forth the effort, and good things will come, I guess.
Good. Again, pass advice, pass it down. Josh, you want to take it, or do you want to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
So my best advice I got from my teacher was to pay for the dual enrollment. I saved like 15 grand through SNU buying those credits, and I started at the tech in sophomore classes, and also at my job that I worked with at during the semester, I got a raise and a promotion due to my credits. So I definitely am glad I paid for those.
Yeah, it's funny, you know, this all started about a decade or so ago, that mindset of dual enrollment and getting all these things in order. And every assembly we've ever had, that comes up every time that those courses paid off. And the other day I was at a party and somebody was telling me how these courses, gatherings are. And someone was saying like, they were misinformed. They're like, oh, these credits, they're only useful like at once. No, this kid applied to go to college. It was like this really odd religious college. It was not a traditional college, and they didn't take the dual enrollment credits, and they were complaining to me. And I was like, that's not the stories I've heard. Like, I heard pretty much, you get your dual enrollment credits, you're either going to get credit in your major or elective credit. But you're going to get some form of credit most every place you go. And that's the story I hear from most every kid. You didn't necessarily, in your case, you got a credit in your major. Some people just get elective credit, at least they get something. So.
Yeah, there was one class that counted for an elective, but the rest it took off pretty much my whole freshman year.
That's awesome. Josh?
All right, I want to touch on options, really.
Josh has been waiting for this assembly for 6 years to tell us.
I've been out for 6 years. You know, I know some of these others have only been out for a year or two. I've been out for 6 years. I do not regret going into the military. I was accepted to a couple post-secondary schools, but really, really, really look over your options. And when you think you've found the right one, look over again. Look over again. The only thing I don't regret joining the military, is I really think I should have gone to a post-secondary school, because I think it would have just put me that much more ahead in the industry that I've chose.
And I know last time you talked about this, I want to give you a little more information. So here you are, you do 6 years of military, and then you got friends who went a more traditional route to learn diesel mechanics, for example, you know? Here you are, at your age, when you compare yourself, what goes through your head about how the military compared to their training? And I'm not looking for right or wrong. That's not a discrimination. It's more just analyzing these different routes. Like, you looking at it, what do you think now?
I think I would have benefited more from the post-secondary school. I feel like there's a lot more training that I could have picked up from them, a lot more knowledge. You know, I'm doing classes now at 25 that I could have been doing in a post-secondary school at 19.
Yeah, good.
And the only thing I regret is I should have done it sooner. Because now, at 25, I own a house, you know, I have a daughter, and you know, and now I'm going through like a post-secondary school.
And you're not going to any gatherings, right?
What's that?
No gatherings, right?
Nah, I still go to a gathering here and there. But, yeah, I've definitely slowed down on the gatherings.
Yeah, I would imagine that. I think we come out understanding what you're saying. Life's complicated, right?
It's...
You have a kid, you got a house, you got a job?
I have a house, a kid, a job, an ex-wife.
We are going to stop right there. We're not making this like Oprah right here at this point. We're staying true to CRTC. Welcome back assembly right here. All right, let me refocus. It's great to have you here, Josh. You're coming after him. We got to get him calmed down a little bit. All right, let me revisit the questions. We'll watch the time here. The question was, I can assure you that many students in the audience right now are visiting their school counselors, talking to their parents, figuring it out. And I'm not here to say what they're going to do. Like I said earlier, I don't ask what college you're going to. I say, are you looking forward to next year? But they're juggling this big step. There's a few juniors here do this the year after, but majority. So again, picture yourself back then. You know, advice, guidance. Now you've done it. You're a couple of years out at this point. Reflect. What do you want to say?
So one piece of advice I always got was how to be successful in college. And it's always like, oh, if you manage your time well, you can be successful in classes. And if you do this, it can help you be successful in classes. And something no one ever told me was, what do you do when you fail a class? Or what do you do when you get a 5 out of 100 on your physics exam? That happened to me. I got a 5 out of 100. It's not been scaled. It wasn't scaled. I passed the class somehow. So what do you do when you fail a class? And what do you do when you fail? And it's stressful to get a grade back on a paper and get your physics professor to hand you something, and then he's standing at the front of the class and he's like, well, I thought this exam was pretty easy, so I don't know why you all did so bad. And you're looking at your score and you're like, man, I don't either. Because I don't understand what I did wrong, because I thought I did it all right. But the thing that I learned really fast was it's okay to fail sometimes. It's really fine if you mess up a few times here and there, especially during your first semester, because college is an entirely different world from high school. If you go to a four-year university, if you go to tech school, if you go to trade school, it's all different than what you've been doing for the past 4 years. And so for me, high school wasn't super difficult. I was in a position where I spent a lot of my time doing my homework as fast as I could to get it done, and then go do anything else. My extracurricular activities through the school were my main focus in senior year. And so when I got to college, it was a lot more of, they tell you on your first day of classes, for every 1 hour of credit hours for my school, you should expect 3 hours of homework. And I was taking 19 credits. So if you multiply 19 by 3, that's how much homework they told me to expect, and they were wrong. It's add 20 hours to that number. It's hard. College is really hard. So it's okay if you fail a class. It's not okay if you fail a class, it's the end of the world and you drop out of school. It's not okay to give up when you fail something. It's not okay to get that failing test grade back and never go to the professor and just drop the course and never look back.
You say, I'm going to pause you here and reflect on something I see all the time, which I agree with you completely. As a society, I spend a lot of time talking to kids, hold on a second, folks, who are struggling, right? Your example of, you know, I did lousy on a physics exam, or whatever exam it was. It's testing your ability to go meet with a professor, interact, reestablish a relationship, and recover. And the students who don't make it don't do that. They just see the 5 out of 100 or the 50 or whatever example you want to give. They see it and stop. And my experience in high school as well as the college stories is that's a commonality, that they never learn how to sort of take charge and say, hey, I'm embarrassed, I did lousy, but I got to go meet with this professor, I got to stick it out. And your story, I think, is very poignant of, hey, you know, like I did lousy, but I stuck with it. You know, I made a connection with the professor, I worked it, and I think most people agree that if you don't speak up, Your professors at college are generally open to you meeting with them if you take the initiative. I hear it every year. Like people like their professors and they work it. Let me get one more person on this question, and then we'll move on. Actually, 2 minutes. So let's get two. One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. We'll go from there. Go ahead. Yep.
So one really big piece of advice that I didn't necessarily follow last year was to really put yourself out there and join clubs and everything and take advantage of opportunities because from now on you're going to be presented with opportunities that could further both your education and your occupation. During one of these opportunities, I guess, I was able to meet the CEO of Convenient MD, and I was told once I graduate to go meet with him again. So definitely, if there's an opportunity for you and you don't have a lot of time to decide on it, definitely go for it if you think it will help you in the long run. Another opportunity.
And your point is that if you get your hands on all these different things, you're going to see opportunities come your way. If you don't have your hands on these things, you won't see those opportunities. Ian.
So if you got, my parents always push college on me. Personally, I don't feel I need college, and if you guys don't want to go to college, then don't go to college. This is more for automotive construction students, but there's always people that are willing to teach you their trade, or they'll pay for you to go to school for their trade so you're not in debt. I work every day and I'm fine with that, and I'm not, $72,000, that's a lot of money. I don't feel I need to go to college, but a lot of these people, it's kind of the norm nowadays.
What is interesting is that, like I say, Lily left, but this concept of apprenticeships, so the state got a $1.1 million grant to build apprenticeships in the state of New Hampshire. So if you're, for example, IT, auto, health, there's a couple other careers I just can't remember all offhand, the state now has set up programs where you're not doing a traditional education any longer, but pursuing a degree or at least a certificate, demonstrating skill, where you're doing exactly what you described it, Ian, under the mentorship of a master person, whatever they are. And I think that as a society, what's fascinating is if we were in Netherlands, Switzerland, or Germany, not just what you just said, Ian, the building trades and the auto, every single field in this room, graphic design, health, construction, IT, criminal justice, students, 60 to 70% of students would be doing more of a work-based learning, internship, apprentice-style learning than a traditional college. The United States, 50 years ago, said 4-year college for all. And so that took over all of our thinking. And it's not to say one's right or wrong, it's just that we've infused that thinking in everything we do. And it's sort of cool to see this grant in the state emerge now, and I'm happy to get information if anybody's interested, where businesses are signing up, saying, okay, Ian Cron wants to do X, let's say IT is the example, he can come to work for us, be in this apprenticeship program, and earn something as you do it in the field. So it's happening right now. Dan, you want to add one more thing?
Yeah, sure. So the biggest thing that I've learned in now starting my second year of college is don't overload your schedule. Give yourself some time to do a good job on your homework. Give yourself some time to just decompress mentally. I've seen so many students burn out of college that I started my freshman year with, and they're no longer at college because they put too much on their plate, they got into too many clubs, and they burnt themselves out, and now they're just not in school, they're not working, they're not really doing anything.
All right, go ahead.
I would just say, when you see something optional, don't think of it as something you don't have to do. So if it says essay optional on a school application, write the essay because you're going to show the school that you're doing it because you want to be there, not because it's just another application you're submitting. Or, for example, I did the Adobe certifications in graphics, and I've only met one other freshman at my school of maybe 500 freshmen that was certified in Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator.
Yeah, I went to a conference a couple years back with criminal justice, and there was a New York superintendent, major investigator of state of New York, and he described his career. And when he entered the police service, he was given all these opportunities to do these cases. But when you stay in New York, unlike New Hampshire, you could be driving 9 hours. You could leave from Albany to go to Buffalo or whatever. And he always said yes, right? Using that same knowledge. Optional, yes. All of a sudden, 5 or 10 years down the road, he's the most experienced person in his field because he said yes to all these opportunities. You're putting the college context in a real world context, that ability, and I'm sure Ian, you can comment on that. Somebody's willing to give you training. The lady and the bookkeeper at the at the concrete place, she gave you a heck of a lot of training in 3 hours that you said to me one day, that was more math than I got in my entire math class in 3 hour span of learning how to do accounting in the foundation in the concrete business. So these opportunities are there for you. All right, we're gonna do a quick power sessions. I'm watching the clock here. I'm gonna bring up some quick topics and there's quick answers, okay? So the first one is financial. High school, free, right? You know, you're cruising to high school, you're not paying anything, you may buy a t-shirt or you're buying a uniform, whatever, maybe a little more of an LNA. But for the most part, it doesn't cost you any money. You cross the line and then you're in the real world and money starts getting demanded of you. Real quick reflections on the immense cost potentially of college and how you're handling all this, and they cannot be long answers. They gotta be quick to the point of what the message you wanna send to high school juniors and seniors right now. Let's start here and then we'll go across.
So biggest thing, they're kind of a pain, apply for scholarships. Like Destiny, she went to school for free, unlike me who paid for it all. Do the scholarships, take the time, do it, and it's well worth it.
Good. Quick, Arthur.
Raise your hand if you have money. Like any. Okay, most of you don't have enough money for college, for books. Like, it's gonna be hell. You're going to hate your life. I was a point, it's still in my wallet. I had a piece of paper above my debit card. You have $3. Literally, I had $3 in my bank account. I was making no money. I was at UNH. Apply for every scholarship you can. Do everything you can to lower your costs. I've had too many friends who, when we were in high school, they didn't fill up the FAFSA. They decided they can't go to college, they don't have enough money. They will give you money. They will give it to you. Just
so let's go, Anna. quick story. Your story is true. Can you pass the mic to Anna, then we get back over there. So Anna, Arthur led you in beautifully for your story. You want to hit that story again?
Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of just like talking to people, and so like one day I was in accepted students day for my school, and the guy who deals with all the money was just sitting at the table. No one was talking to him, so it was like my mom and I were like, oh, let's go talk to him. Like didn't really have the intention of asking for more money, but like because we didn't really know how that worked. But so we were like sitting and talking to him.
But you wouldn't mind it.
Right, yeah, I'll take it. And so we were just like talking to him, and then he just like, oh yeah, it was really nice to meet you guys. Like it looks like you've done a lot. Like here's an extra like $16,000 total off your like tuition, like $4,000 a year. And my mom like started crying. She's like, I don't know, like. She's like, thank you. Like, you just have to like talk to them because if you ask them for more money, they might give
and
it
your point is to listen. Today, you listen to stories, and these opportunities are there. I think you said it beautifully. The optional opportunities, right? You could have, Anna, walked by that guy, right? I mean, it could have been, hey, let's go get a piece of watermelon or whatever, you know. And instead, you stopped and said, you know what, or whatever they have, cookies, whatever they had for you that day. Instead, you say, hey, let's just stop for 2 minutes and say, well, this guy controls financial aid, and you get $16,000. Who else? Financial, real quick, yeah, let's get here. We'll go down that way.
So I do go to a very expensive school.
And how much is your school per year?
So it is $72,000 a year. Yep, for 4 years.
Can you say that one more time? How much again?
What?
How much again?
It's $72,000. Yeah. So it is one of the most expensive schools in the U.S. But don't like that sounds very daunting and very like. It just sounds horrible. Like no one wants to pay that. It's like a house. Like you're basically buying a house. But
so how do you handle it? How do you handle it? Let's make the time.
So hard work pays off. I worked very hard throughout high school. Through scholarships, financial aid, outside scholarships, I was able to cut that down by 3/4. And the nursing school has actually the highest paying starting salary, so right out of college I'll be making $85,000 to $90,000 a year.
So critical understanding, this is true. I mean, I can't reiterate this enough. You're a solid student, you work hard, go to school, it's crazy expensive, $72,000 a year.
Yeah.
You get financial aid, you get a lot of aid, you get grants, the things you don't pay back, all of a sudden you get it down to $25,000 plus or minus, right? Which is, ironically, the same as UNH plus or minus, right? Yeah. And then you say, I got this degree from NYU, and you're being smart, saying I'm picking a career that the starting pay is $85,000 a year. It's you know, I don't want to comment anymore on it, it's just, there's a formula to this that you have to have a vision, you know, and I think you have to have the confidence to say, I'm going to a school that costs $72,000 and it's going to work, and that's a big deal. How many people here go to a school that costs more than $50,000 a year? You know, how many people here go to a community college that costs about $7,000 a year? right? Give you perspective on the two ends of the fence there. Someone else, financial, did you want to, yeah, let's go right, what, go ahead, yep.
Take advantage of your dual enrollment credits, like, can't stress that enough. I have a semester done. Then with my Adobe certification, I have an internship set up for me that's gonna like be another income towards my like education, and it's just, it saves you so much money. Can't stress it enough.
Awesome. Yep, and then one more.
So I was not as lucky as Anna. When I asked my school for more money, they said no, that they didn't have it in the budget, even after I threatened not going there, to not go there, but I still went. So basically, you just have to apply to a lot of scholarships. It's like a part-time job based, kind of, you just have to keep looking, find the weird ones that nobody really applies to. I also work 2 jobs, and that helps a good amount, so.
Good, I think with down, any more down, yeah, pass it down. All right, just.
So, for a diesel student like myself, on top of college, you have to pay for tools as well. And somebody who didn't take the college route would probably pay, you could buy a Snap-on box for $26,000.
Let's go slow on that one. People don't really understand that. So when you're in a trade-based career, people don't, like here, they don't hand you tools. You have to get your own tools. And so you're describing a toolbox, obviously a good large toolbox. The box alone, tools or not, is $26,000 with tools or without tools?
That's without tools, and that's a decent sized box. You can find one a little bit cheaper, for $7,000 is a good start.
A significant amount of money in your tools.
Yeah, and college programs offer a lot of Snap-on discounts, but Snap-on's a tool company, a very well established tool company, and they will offer you about 50% off. So what you would pay out of pocket outside of a program would probably $20,000 something, and if you go through a school, you can get about half that. So on top of schooling, you would only pay another $10,000 for tools that would cost you twice that outside the industry.
All right, I'm going to have to pause. We're going to run out of time. I know you can't do this. Can you do a quick comment?
Do it really quick.
All right, let's do it.
Just to touch on Tim's thing, do the tool program. I am $40,000 in the hole on tools and my toolbox.
Good, right over here.
I just wanted to say that state schools aren't always cheaper than out-of-state schools. I'm paying less than many of my friends who are doing in-state, and I go to out-of-state private school because private schools tend to give more financial aid than state schools.
Good.
For my law enforcement, fire science, and health science students, the best advice I can give you to pay for things, get yourself sponsored. Law enforcement students, get to a police department, ask for sponsorships. Health science students, go to a hospital, go to a nursing home, get yourself sponsored. Fire science students, try to get a live-in program. They will pay for your entire school and pay you while you work.
Yeah, it's a cool thing he's mentioned called live-in, that we had students graduate our program for fire science who went to Lakes Region Community College to study emergency services, and then they lived in a fire department in exchange for staying there for free. They got to attend. So my last thing, you know what, we haven't heard from you yet, have we? All right, quick, financial.
Some advice that I can give to anybody going to 4-year school with a possibility of getting a master's, look into schools that do a 5-year master's program, because a lot of schools will offer your senior year of your bachelor's to take graduate credits for the price of what you're taking your bachelor's credits for.
Nice. All right, watch the clock. I'm going to ask the same question I did last time. You made a choice, just like these guys have, to attend the CRTC, so we're in a closed room here, meaning that the people who didn't choose CRTC are not here. Looking back, was the CRTC a wise move for you as you venture out into this world? I'm going to have you just a quick fingers first. 5 would be absolutely agree, 1 would be I don't agree as much. So 5 would be absolutely agree. That makes a lot of people feel pretty good right there. I'm going to pause here. Let's give these guys a big round of applause. I think, as students in the audience, I hope that today a couple of points resonated with you, like something that you might be thinking about. You heard something today that said, yeah, you know what, I can get to the next level. Like that may be a route I can take. I can assure you that the teachers in this room, listen closely today, it affects how we teach, how we think about helping kids. What's sad sometimes in this room is that we're not filled with school counselors and filled with school administrators and filled with teachers who don't do CRTC, because I feel like this story that these folks are telling is sort of like the missing piece. It is, I'm gonna say this, I watched this video on ESPN the other day. It was about Jim Valvano, who's a great basketball coach. And he talked about the story of what's amazing in the world is most everybody you deal with is regular. Right? And I mean, let's listen while I explain this in a second. But regular people do exceptional things. You know? And so sometimes we hear this story from all the people up here, you know, I say this in a very kind way. We're all regular people, including myself, you know? But you've done some exceptional things that have pushed you to a point of getting here and telling your story. And I say that to the same audience here. Sometimes we advise people as if everybody's exceptional. Most of us are regular who are going to do exceptional things. And just keep that in your mind as you plan where you're going, whether it's next year or the year after. And thanks again to our audience, to our speakers. Have a great day. And weekend.